Hey Saber fans, this is Grey Paladin, here to review the Commando Eco Saber from Saberforge. Out of your box you will get a user guide with helpful information on warranty as well as operating instructions. Comes with an Allen key used to loosen and tighten your blade as well as remove the electronics. And then a USB wall charger used to charge the saber with the 2.1mm recharge port. I'll quickly go over the dimensions. And this one's an interesting saber. From the top of the slanted emitter to the bottom of the slanted pommel, it is exactly 13 inches long. It has two diameter widths if you want to think about. Notice how here it's flat on the sides and then rounded on the top and bottom. So from the sides it has a diameter of 1.2 inches, and then from the top and bottom it has a diameter of 1.5 inches. It has a deep blade depth of 2.2 inches, a resonance chamber in the pommel of 1.6 inches, and it weighs in at 1 pound 2 ounces. This is a particularly full-size saber for an eco. Most of the ecos are smaller, and if you look at the LGTs, they're also smaller. But this is more in line with more of a apprentice tier hilt from Saberforge. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a comparison. So on the top here is an Elite Saber. This is the Saberforge Exalted Mark I. Notice the length, it's the same length as this Gen 5 Eco Saber. And on the bottom here is an LGT Saber. This came from Crimson Dawn, it's the Antares. And I'm going to angle this up so you can see the two slants, try to line those up, and notice how the LGT Saber is significantly shorter and smaller than the Gen 5 Eco Saber. So there's our comparison of how the Gen 5 Ecos stack up with a full-size hilt as well as a smaller size hilt. Some things to note on this particular saber. I'll give you the close-up. On this saber here, the emitter is the most striking part of the hilt, and that is slanted, and then you have 5 emitter windows that shine very nicely when the blade is turned on. Now this 5 window design here is also going to be down in the switch section, and then you also see it raised here in the lower body. Going around the top and the bottom of the switch as well as the top of the pommel here, you've got these 10 squares that go all the way around. So this saber is quite symmetrical. And then on the bottom side you have these 2 flutes that come down from the emitter all the way down to the pommel. The pommel is slanted and it lines up perfectly with the grooves right above it, and it has timing shims on there so that way they can line up. It's got 1 thick or medium sized shim and then 5 very thin shims on there, and with that it aligns exactly with the lines of the body, like so. Now this particular saber, when I first pulled it out of the box, as soon as I held it, I felt that all of these lines here were very rough edges that can easily scratch and possibly cut if you're not being careful. So to avoid any of that, I took my Dremel and went along every single edge of the saber to smooth it out, so that way it felt more comfortable in the hand. So if this is a saber that you're interested in, just be aware that, especially up here by the emitter, these edges are very, very, not sharp, but it's a very clear edge, and I had to round them off. I did it more so on the bottoms here where I would be spinning the saber at that choke there. Just like all of the LGT and Eco Sabers, you have the recharge port illuminated AV switch, and then the 2 screws here to raise and tighten the switch section to hold it in place. And then there's also another retention screw here that holds the body of the electronics in place. I added a thumb screw to mine just because it's much more easy to remove and add the blade, and plus it just adds a nice aesthetic look to the hilt. However, even though there are some sharp edges along the flutes and on the edges of the saber, the emitter is not sharp at all. That's quite comfortable. I wish that the way it feels here was the same that it felt across all the lines of the saber. And then it did come with a weathered blade plug that I included there. Now I'm going to go over the original electronics, and that was this here. This is just a standard one color. This is the purple that I went with, and the illuminated switch does match that color. There's the purple. And this looks just like, it comes from Saber Studio, so this is an LGT internal here. Works just the same as all the Proffies and everything else that go in LGD Saber. And then there's the 12 watt plus LED there. Now, this is not the original speaker. The original speaker was this one here. And as you can see, very thin, semi-loud, but not a lot of clarity and depth to the sound. And as you can see here, it is a 2 watt 8 ohm speaker. But I had a bass speaker, and so what I did was I just swapped it out. As you can see, it has a quick connector right there, so it made it really easy. All I did was unscrew this screw here, and then separate. You can see the split here. This comes apart in the top and bottom half. Then I was able to get to the speaker and use a quick connector to replace these speakers, so it sounds much better. So the Eco Electronics, they're not the highest quality, so with a saber like this, I ended up adding a Proffie core from Crimson Dawn, and that is on the inside. I ordered it, I believe I received it in the month of April, and I ordered it in the month of March. So it has new fonts on here relative to what we've seen in the previous LGT Proffie cores, and I'll run through that in a separate video. But let's fire this saber up. What I did is I took this blade plug and I added from Space Windu a Neo chip, and so I made a Neo blade plug to go there. And as you can see here, I've got the 5 windows in the emitter that come through very nice. I think the best feature of the saber is that slant and then seeing those windows. Using a little stubby here so I have room to swing. Don't worry, I will put a full length blade in so you can see some of the different effects. This is the Scavenger's Destiny. One thing I really do like about these windows here is you can see the effect of Rey's lightsaber. The green, blue, and then ignite into the yellow. That's dark saber.
Ascension. More. That familiar will be your grave.
That's the Tyler Malakos. Young Solo.
Empress Palpatine.
Now they did something different with the effects on this font. It's more of a flame blade now. I'll darken that just a little bit more so hopefully you can see the effect. But it really starts and flashes kind of white and yellow and orange and then goes into the red here at the tip.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi.
And then Count Dooku, they added a post-off on this one. They removed the Prion and added a post-off.
Master Yoda. Count Dooku. General Kenobi.
That's the bold one.
Rogue Commander. Darkness.
Here's a new font that they added. Another flame blade there.
Your destiny lies with me, Skywalker.
And that's the ESB Skywalker font, of the Graflex ESB.
I'm Cal Kestis.
They added new colors on this one. It's more orange. It's difficult to see, but it has a really nice flicker of white and red that kind of bleeds in and out.
The General, to me she is royalty.
You've never fought anyone like me.
I am Revan!
This is an interesting font. You also hear this on the Flight saber from the Plock store. This is a purple color. So some of these fonts I'll try to do a demo on since they are new to the LGT Neo core.
The dark side, my master.
I believe this is a Star Killer sound font, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe something from Force Unleashed. And that font's nice. So that's pretty much my run through of this saber so far. The Commando I like very much. It's a good, unique saber, and the windows and the emitter are what stand out the most to me. And so overall, this was a great price. I got it for the $129 from Saberforge, and went with the Eco Electronics and then added my own core to it, so I can really beef it up and make it feel better. But some warnings: just make sure that you either wear gloves or just be cautious of the sharp edges that are on each of the lines of this saber. I smooth mine out with a Dremel, so it's much more comfortable and I don't have to worry about scratching my hands up or possibly cutting them swinging this saber around. So there you have it. That's the Commando Eco Saber from Saberforge. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know in the comments down below, and may the Force be with you.